I liked the idea of writing young adult novels because I was always going back to how I felt as a kid and as a teenager, what I really liked, what I loved most. And I wanted to write the novels and the short stories that I couldn't find when I was young. So part of this has to do with looking back at my motivation. Why did I want to write? I have stories I feel like I want to tell, but within that, there are countless ways to approach it. And I liked writing for young people. I was especially flattered. I was asked to speak at a number of classes, 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, and I liked that. I also spoke at some summer reading groups for young people, and I found it especially satisfying because I was remembering when I was that age and how I was getting started. And I like to mention I had an English teacher in the 8th grade who not only assigned short stories as part of our English class from time to time, she also sponsored a creative writing club, which meant, it was like half an hour once a week, so not a lot of time. But she was very encouraging, and I didn't really need someone to tell me, you can do this. But it was very nice to have someone to give me the opportunity, saying, right now, this is what you're supposed to do. It's an assignment, and I wrote the stories I was going to write anyway. But I went on, as I got older, to stay in touch with her. She passed away very recently. But we became friends as time went on, and it was always fun and satisfying for me to go and visit her, and I'd bring her autographed books and so on. But all of this adds up to the fact that this period of sort of the tweens and the young adult readers are at an interesting stage in forming their interests and values. They're old enough to understand a lot of new ideas, and at the same time fresh enough to be looking at something, I think, in a unique way. I'll mention a quote. The science fiction writer Isaac Asimov used to say he got the toughest questions from smart 12-year-olds. And that appeals to the same thing, that a smart 12-year-old would be maybe naive enough not to have confined thinking and could be smart enough to make it tough on someone who really thought he knew what he was talking about and get a question you weren't expecting. I think the protagonist for young adults usually is somewhat older than they are, maybe not too much. So my protagonists are in their late teens, early 20s, because I believe that's probably what the young adult audience wants to read about. They may not want to read about someone exactly their age, but not someone who's too far from their age at the same time. And that also helps with the situation I described a moment ago. You can have a character who is also open-minded to new ideas and new experiences and not confined by old ideas that older people might, use as limitations. But I think finding the right age and the right level of experience. For instance, in Hong on the Range, I just have a young guy he's a drifter because it's futuristic, but it's a parallel to the Old West. And he's a guy who's just trying to get ahead somehow, trying to get started with a career, but first he has to get a job before he has a career. And in his naivete, he is fooled by bank robbers into helping out. So the next thing he knows, he's on the run and didn't really intend that. But I chose that also because I think the situation of running into something unexpected, and especially having it go bad, is something most of us can identify with to some degree. And so that gets his story going. In the series Isaac Asimov's Robots in Time, I should mention that was licensed by Asimov's estate. I was writing the first work in his world after he died. So I had his robots and his future background, but they're all time travel into our past. And so I chose different time periods. There's one with dinosaurs, one's with buccaneers, and so on. And I think that also is a way to introduce young people to history to a certain degree. And of course, I'm messing with the history, so it's not 100% reliable. But I enjoyed that kind of thing myself when I was growing up. It's another way of seeing a new world, not only another planet, but seeing our world in the past and in the future.